Okay, good morning everybody. My name is Edel Murphy. I'm delighted to see you all here today for our conference on public and patient involvement in research. I want to welcome research colleagues from NUI Galway and from universities and research institutes elsewhere around the country. But a particular welcome to members of the public and of patient organisations who have joined us for today. Our conference today is also being live streamed, and I know there are some researchers and some members of the public who are unable to travel, so a particular welcome to you today, and I hope you have a good experience listening in from elsewhere. I want to extend a very warm welcome to all of our speakers. I have a new respect for speakers at conferences. Today we're going to hear how patient involvement has been used and embedded in a number of different ways, using very different methodologies in very different settings. Most of the speakers today they're setting the standard for PPI in Ireland. They're leading the way. And what we're hoping to do, our aim for today, is I suppose twofold. One is that it will inspire the researchers among us to go forth and embed public and patient involvement in our research and be ambassadors for PPI in our research teams and our research centres. And then on the other hand, that it will inspire members of the public and of patient organisations to engage, to share their opinions, their insights and their experience with us researchers, and by doing that to make a difference. So that's our aims for today. Just a few logistics before we begin. The safety, the doors we came through, and there's also another emergency exit here behind me. When you go out, go left. I'd ask you, please switch off your mobile phones or put them on silent if you haven't done so already. When we go out, there's bathrooms to the right and there's more out beyond the reception desk. And there's some water down the back. Help yourselves, especially at the changeover of the speakers, feel free. For those of you who are active on Twitter, we have a hashtag, PPI Conference Galway, so feel free to use that as we go, and there's free Wi-Fi that you can connect into at the Westward Conference. So I'm from the HRB Primary Care Clinical Trials Network Ireland. It's a research network led from NUI Galway, but with colleagues in the RCSI in Dublin, in Queen's and the Irish College of General Practitioners. But today is much broader than primary care and much broader than clinical trials. It's about PPI, public and patient involvement, right across all the healthcare research domains. So I think you'll get the breadth as the speakers talk. I want to thank the Health Research Board for funding our network, because it's giving us the opportunity to embed PPI as a core component of our research and in the clinical trial space, and as well as that, to make a contribution to the growing movement for PPI in Ireland. So it's great to have that opportunity. We've also been supported today in organising the conference by the HRB Trials Methodology Research Network and by IPOSI, that's the Irish Patient Platform, the Irish Platform for Patient Organisations, Science and Industry. So I'd like to thank Sandra Galvin and Derek Mitchell respectively for their support in organising the conference. And if you have any requirements during the day, please feel free to ask me or ask Breda Kelleher. Breda is down at the back. She has been the powerhouse of the organisation of this. So really what I mean is, if you have any requirements, ask Breda. Before I introduce our first speaker, I thought I might just give a little bit of context around PPI. So what is public and patient involvement? Public and patient involvement is an active, equal partnership between public and patients and researchers at all stages of the research process. So what it's allowing us to do is to allow the voice and perspectives of the patient to guide and influence our research. So guide and influence what we research, so our research questions, how we do our research, how we conduct it, how we share the results of our research, and how we use the results to influence policy and practice. So it's right across the full spectrum of what we do. Public and patient involvement is probably best captured by this slogan: nothing about us without us. This is the slogan from the Involve organisation, which is a UK organisation that are leaders in this field. So really what that's saying to us is it's about doing research with and by members of the public and patients, not doing research to or for or about. So it's about working with in partnership. The slogan for our conference today is working in partnership, making a difference. And I think from the talks during the day, you'll really see how this has been brought to life. This is a typical research cycle where somebody comes up with a research question. You design your study, you conduct it, you gather your data, you analyse the results, and you publish results. So what you will be seeing today is that at all points in a research cycle, there's scope for public and patient involvement. What's not on this cycle is at some stage along the line you look for funding to fund your study, and at that point as well there's scope for involving a patient voice. Public and patient involvement really can be considered as a continuum going from no involvement, so we're in the space of researching about and for patients. Then maybe first step would be where you inform public and patients of what you're doing. Moving towards better involvement, where we have a consultative relationship, where maybe we have our plans, we ask our public and patients, for their input, and then we go away, we talk about the input, and we make decisions on what we'll do. Further on the continuum is where we bring that process to a joint decision-making stage. So we ask, we consult, we make decisions together. And all of this is moving towards the finer end of the continuum, where we have an equal and active partnership with mutual respect and sharing of knowledge and experience driving our research forward. So it is a continuum. And Rome wasn't built in a day, and I think from some of our presentations today we'll see that small beginnings is where everybody started. So what do we mean? Some practical examples about what it could involve. If we take an example where maybe there's a new drug being developed for something like arthritis, and we're trying to see, well, is the drug as good as or better than something that's on the market? How can a patient with arthritis or patients with arthritis help us? Well, it could be very simply tell us, what's the most important thing about living with arthritis? What's the worst thing about living with arthritis? Because surely if we're developing a new drug, that's what we should be trying to improve. So as a researcher, I might be thinking, well, I'll measure whether drug A or drug B is better by some laboratory test. But then if we have a patient group, they might say, well, it's the pain, or it's the pain and cold. So that then feeds into the defining what the research outcomes are. We might say, how will we best recruit people with arthritis into our trial? How will we include them? Again, I might be thinking, well, we'll do it through GPs, we'll put up notices in the GP practice. If we talk to a group of patients with arthritis, they might say to us, no, the best way to get to us is through the Facebook page of Arthritis Ireland or the local arthritis group. So it's those sort of insights from the lived experience of the people that are at the core of the research that matter. When we're doing research, we write a lot of material, we hand written information to people that we're hoping will get involved in our studies, but is what we write understandable? So very important role there for getting input from public, and ultimately to help us to identify the research questions. So there are many, many different places where public and patient involvement can feed into the research process. So that's a little bit about what PPI is. So what is PPI not? Well, it's not about taking part in a research study, taking part in a way where you've had no input into the design and the planning of it. That's participation. It's not about qualitative research. Qualitative research is where researchers interview participants in a study, ask them questions to get background information on opinions and motivations and that sort of a spectre. In qualitative research, where the patient or the participant hasn't been involved in planning the study, that's qualitative research. It's not public and patient involvement. Some of the same techniques are used, but there is a difference. And it definitely isn't about trying to increase the number of people that you recruit into your trial. or into your study. Researchers always are anxious about recruitment. Sometimes it's a positive benefit from involving your public and your patients, but it's not the aim of it. So, as I mentioned, I work in the HRB Primary Care Clinical Trials Network, and we have set ourselves a challenge to position public and patient involvement at the core of our research. So we have set up a group. We have a group of 10 people drawn from the local area. Everybody is a primary care patient at some stage of their life or very close to. So we've our group set up. We've had our first meeting. We have had some input into some of the activities that were going on. So I'd say very much small but important beginnings. For example, we asked the group how we should go about organising today, for example, and with some interesting perspectives there. So we feel we have many challenges, but we're very much looking forward to it. So I think that sets a little bit of context for the day, and I'll move on now to introduce our first speaker. So it gives me great pleasure, genuinely, to welcome Professor Mary McCarran. Professor McCarran is the Dean of the Faculty of Health Sciences and Chair of Ageing and Intellectual Disability at Trinity College. She's a multidisciplinary health leader of the health sciences, and she's an international expert in the fields of intellectual disability, ageing, dementia and palliative care. Professor McCarran is going to talk today about a longitudinal study with people with intellectual disability, which is an add-on or a supplement to the TILDA study. I'll have to say this was the first presentation I heard Professor McCarran speak some time ago, and I found it really inspirational. So it very much sowed the seeds of my interest in the area. You will see about the innovative and inclusive approaches that are internationally recognised that have been used in this study. So I'd like to welcome Professor McCarran to make her presentation. Thank you very much.